Welcome to Podnutz Daily for October 14th, 2008, episode number 98. Did a system restore on a Vista machine that wouldn't start. Okay. Had a compact laptop come in, and the problem with it is, for the customer, it wouldn't boot. It wouldn't even start. When I turned it on, though, and this happens a lot when people bring stuff into the shop, it's a nature of computer repair. Whatever happened at home for them is usually something different than happens in the shop. It's like if you you're feeling sick, you go to the doctor, and then you feel great while you're in the doctor's office. Kind of the same thing. Well, this computer actually started for me. It wasn't starting for the customer. And when it did start, however, it was just running buggy. You could tell it was infected with maybe a couple little things, and it was just running a little slow. So she was saying it wouldn't even start. Well, anyway, the next day I tried it, and she was right. It didn't even start, not even for me. Now, since I knew it had some type of infection, and it probably happened recently because you could tell she uses the computer almost every day, and she let somebody borrow it for a day or something, and that's when the problem started. I did a system restore rather than one of those Vista startup repairs. I did a system restore because I wanted to go back to before the point where she was having a problem. And I restored it back 2 weeks. After the restore completed, the system booted right up and everything was fine. Actually, the infections actually weren't even causing any trouble anymore. Now, here's the thing. It's a cool way that Vista does this now. I mean, it's a little different than XP. If you used to try to get into safe mode using XP, you'd hit F8 to get into safe mode. Well, in Vista machines, I think only Vista machines with a factory installed partition. I'm not sure. I got to check. If you hit F8, you get also another option in the safe mode menu that says repair my computer. And when you click on that repair my computer, you could either do a system restore right from the menu. You can do a whole system recovery back to factory settings. You can run a memory diagnostic test. I think you can go into the control or the command prompt, and you can recover from a backup or something like that. A couple options, so it helps you with repairing your system easier than XP would. You don't have to go into the recovery console. Anyway, that's where I ran the system restore from that F8 menu. Worked like a charm. Okay, I talked about yesterday a connection on a compact laptop that was actually causing any power adapter you plugged into it. It was causing the tip of the power adapter to melt. The thing was getting so hot. Well, all it turned out to be was a loose connection. It was so you couldn't really tell it was a loose connection, though, because it was really disguised. It was a solder joint that was a little loose, and to the naked eye, it looked perfectly fine, but it actually was loose, and it started to turn brown on the circuit board where that part was, so you knew where the bad connection was. Well, I actually just rerouted with a wire. I took a wire, and I rerouted from where the bad connection was to another part on the motherboard where I was able to get a positive connection, like right next. Basically, what I did was I scraped a new spot on the motherboard, and I soldered right next to where the bad joint was. I scraped a new spot, and I took a wire from that spot to the power jack itself, and I just bypassed the part that I was having a bad connection. Because in my experience, if it happened once, it's going to happen again on that spot. So if you actually bypass and do it a different way, giving it a little flexibility. I like to use the wire because it gives it a little flexibility. So if somebody's in there wrenching the power jack all around, it's not going to break a brittle connection off the motherboard. It's going to the wire is going to allow it to have some flexibility. It's all in the laptop videos. So I taped that for the laptop videos, so that'll be in there too. System logons. Okay, had another system came in, an old XP system. What we would do is when we would boot it up, we'd see the Windows load up screen. Then we would see the user screen. It would say Windows is starting, and then Windows would be logging off. Then Windows would be starting, then Windows would be logging off. In an endless loop. It was like an endless loop of that. What we ended up doing was a system restore, a Windows repair. A Windows repair by taking her original Windows disk, throwing it in a machine, booting from the disk, acting like we're going to reinstall the operating system, and at the screen where it says, would you like to repair the existing operating system, hit R. We would hit R, did a Windows repair. I had to leave. I didn't know how that turned out, but I have a feeling that's going to solve the problem. I'll check that tomorrow. If it doesn't solve the problem, I'm going to let you guys know. A really slow week, to maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks in the shop. That's all I have for shop stuff today. It's getting a little scary. You might have to do some extra advertising or something. But and also in my experience with this computer repair business, it goes in waves. You have a slow week, then you have a hot week, then you have a slow week, then you have a hot week. So I'm not too worried right now. But if it keeps up this slow, then I'll know that maybe the hype about the economy is actually affecting me directly this time. So let me play a couple voicemails. I'll read some emails, and we'll go from there. Okay, this voicemail, let me see. I got to start Skype up. Sorry for the delay. Oh, I also rewired my system, guys, so I shouldn't be cutting out anymore. So the show should be continuous. Okay. Let us play some voicemails here. This is from Tim.
Hey, Steve. Tim here from Savannah, Georgia, better known as Timster on the chat and the forums. I just wanted to give you a call real quick regarding using restoration CDs on OEM machines. I know that the big OEM system builders like Dell and Gateway, their XP operating system restoration CDs will work on alike machines, meaning that a Dell restoration CD will work on all Dell computers. And you said something interesting today, too, about copying those. That was very interesting. If you can elaborate a little bit on that, I guess you meant that you, when you get your hands on a restoration CD, you actually copy it, if I heard you correctly. And then you even said in an earlier podcast that you can even mix and match those restoration CDs. Like I think you said you used a Dell restoration CD in a HP computer, and it worked. But you had a Dell splash screen though, and somebody had mentioned wind bubbles to eliminate that problem. Why I'm calling though, my question is if I have no restoration CD for, say, a Dell computer, can I purchase an OEM XP CD and install that on an OEM computer and use the COA on the back of the machine to activate it? That's one thing I'm not very clear on. I know you've touched on this subject before. I thought I was clear on it, but now I'm kind of scratching my head a little. If you or anybody else can clarify that, I would really appreciate it. I have noticed that retail versions of XP have no COA, but Vista retail versions have COAs on the box. I thought that was interesting.